Hi guys, I'm Tammy Battaglia and I'm coming to you today to introduce you to 3 of the 5 gardeners that are on our garden tour this year. I'm representing the Town and Country Garden Club, but the Lebanon Council of Garden Clubs is putting on the 2025 garden tour. We have 5 spectacular houses and gardens for you to see. I cannot wait for you to meet everyone today. Just outside of town, you're going to see Mike and Lisa Vaugh's garden. They have recently undergone a huge transformation, removing tons of overgrown trees, and they've now made the garden of their dreams. Lisa even just got a brand new greenhouse and a pollinator garden. Be sure to ask them about their natives and their pollinator garden, as they are so active and ready to answer your questions. All right, our first stop on today's behind the scenes tour is Frank and Debbie Demas's house. You guys, there is so much of this garden to keep you occupied. We could actually probably interview them for an hour and a half, but we have a whopping 10 minutes. So I'm going to do my best, and I actually have notes. I don't normally have notes, but you guys have so much back here to go on. Some of the things that have struck me about your garden, the family heritage, the lineage that is present in this garden that you'll hear about, the skill, the years of gardening experience, everything comes very natural to these two. Like, you'll hear them say how you do something and like it's no big deal, and I'm 10 years in, I haven't figured it out yet. So I just want to go through a few things with you guys today. One of the highlights, which it's a garden tour, but that also includes hardscape. And one of the highlights here, we have some, I don't want to call it cobblestone, but I want you to tell the story about where your patio came from and how you got it here and what it means so much to you.
My dad was a concrete finisher, and he took up the flagstone from the city of Canton sidewalk, and he brought it home, and I got permission from them to bring the pieces home. We divided it up into smaller pieces because it came in 3 by 3 foot sections, and I took it multiple times in my minivan to bring it home.
And so now every time you're on your patio, you can always think of your dad, which I just think is the sweetest. There's also other little touches in the yard as well as in the garden that will remind them of their family. And so when you're here, if you see Frank and Debbie out, ask them some stories, because there is so much to talk about back here. Now, Frank, you're kind of the guy we want to hit with some questions, because you have this garden, this 2,400 square foot garden that just kind of seems to come natural to you.
Okay.
Yeah. And you do a planting method, the square foot method, and I would love for you to just talk a little bit about that. And I know we'll show some pictures of the apparatus that you use, but why is that your preferred method?
It's a couple reasons, actually. It saves space, number one. It saves watering, care, and I think, as I told you, I'm a lazy gardener, so I don't like to weed. Cuts down on all of that, the number of seeds you have to use, the fertilization that you have to do. And I use that in another method called wide row gardening as well. But primarily because it allows me to spend less time on it and get just as much. So.
Yeah. So speaking of your seeds, if you guys have ever gone shopping for a plant and you've paid $6 for maybe, one plant, Frank over here has flats and flats and flats of plants, vegetables, as well as beautiful flowers. Tell him where you start all of these.
Oh, they started in my basement under fluorescent lights. I built a long time ago, probably 40 years ago, 3 shelves out of using scrap lumber, and hung 2 sets of 4-foot fluorescent lights for each shelf. So you start them under there, you plant the seeds, adequate water, you cover them in some fashion with either plastic bags or some other plastic covering so that you don't lose the moisture. But once they sprout, usually in just ordinary, not divided flats, you transplant them. And from there, it's just light water fertilizer. So.
How early do you start some of these seeds?
End of February generally, and then I plan them for, in this case, the average last frost date, and that will be May 10th this year. But when you start them, it all depends on when you want them to flower and when you intend to set them out. So something like marigolds is 6 weeks prior to the last frost date, whereas petunias would be like 11 weeks and impatiens would be 12 weeks. So it's all tied back to that average last frost date.
And do you keep, I know you have logs of like the weather and such, do you keep sort of a binder? Like, how do you keep track of all that?
I've actually got a spreadsheet on a computer that lists everything that I've ever planted. along with the dates where I got it, and then the number of weeks required, and it does all the calculations for me. All I have to do is put in the average last frost date. It tells me when to plant them, and then I don't have to think about it.
Okay, that's some high-tech gardening. I like that. I was just thinking, like, how would I keep track of all of that? So we'll give you some glimpses into some of his little seedlings that are going to be going out soon. And I want to switch gears again. And Debbie, I'm going to ask you, you have an area in your garden that I love, and I know Frank here calls it the junkyard. So can you talk about how the junkyard came to be?
Well, I had a cousin that suggested that site on Facebook, and it was called Garden Art, Junk, and Antiques. And so Frank calls it a junkyard, but it's a garden art. And I just started with a few pieces of things we find at garage sales. And, you know, some of it's metal, some wood, and then I tried to intermingle flowers with it to bring out the color. Yeah. And I paint them nice, bright colors.
And then in the winter, do you put all that away, or do you keep that?
Most of it I put away.
Okay, for safekeeping. Okay, so please make sure you visit the junkyard, as they call it. You'll see what we mean when you get here. It's really, really beautiful. Now, can you backtrack for me a little bit? How long have you lived here?
21 years.
Okay, so 21 years ago, and you built this house.
That's right.
Right, okay, so I know when I see houses being built, it's just flat, there's nothing going on. Where on earth did all of these areas come from? Who comes up with this stuff, and who makes it happen?
Honestly, a lot of it was the result of landscaping issues, if you want to call them, or land issues. For example, the dry creek bed you see over there was a swale, and there was no sidewalk or anything like that. Ultimately, we needed to deal with the water issue, but keep it so that it wasn't just a ditch. Mm-hmm. So we ended up putting a dry creek bed with all the bridges and the other things that are there today. Over to our right here is, honestly, it's a septic tank. And it's concrete, and it wouldn't grow grass because it wasn't far enough under the ground. So we covered it with paving bricks and then surrounded it with an herb garden and flowers and benches, and you still have to have access, so we built it so that you could also have access to it. So again, the pond was something we both always wanted, you know, and a waterfall and stuff like that. So ultimately, you know, you have a section back there that's in the shade. It's not really good for much. It's not going to grow a lot of stuff, grass or whatever, so we put all shade-loving plants back there and covered it with the flagstone. So most of this stuff occurred because of a need. Mm-hmm. Over there, again, where we have the Norway spruce, we had an issue with water running off that hill, and it would actually create an island there. Mm. So we put the Norway spruce in there. And then all around the house, every plant, every tree is something that we planted from the get-go, and colors and textures, and she's the creative one. I'm just manual labor.
So where do you get your ideas from?
I just see what I like and then just put it together. We have an ice cream parlor table in the backyard, and Frank called and said, I got a good deal on this. Do you want it? And I said, I don't know where I'm going to put it. So it didn't cost him much for the table, but all the spray cans of paint and the stone that we put under cost him some money.
I do love that it's the function. The form is following the function, but you've made the form beautiful for all of these areas. And I think that is such a takeaway. We all have challenges in our garden, and this is such a great way for you to see how you can take that hard space that won't grow anything or you need access to, and you can still make it a beautiful part of your garden. So I cannot thank you enough for your time today. Thank you for letting us visit your garden yet again. It's my third time getting to be here. I love it here. So you will love this garden when you're on the garden tour here in June. And if you see Frank and Debbie out, make sure to tell them how beautiful the yard is and ask them a question, because they are full of knowledge. Okay, our next garden is in the heart of downtown Lebanon. Phil and Paula Hines have just built this house about 4.5 years ago, so everything you see is new. However, you'll notice that a lot of the plants seem mature, and it's because they have given many starts from friends and family. Some of these plants are 30 to 40 years old. Phil actually grew up on this street just down the road, so they have a lot of history here. Part of the design for the garden resulted because they were dealing with some water drainage problems, so to avoid a retaining wall, Paula and Phil created beds of annuals and perennials off the back patio for their hillside. You'll see here that they are absolutely beautiful. Okay, our next stop is the gorgeous backyard of Heather Daugherty, and I cannot wait for you to get to see sneak peeks of it and learn about it from Heather herself. Heather, thank you so much for letting us come here today. We are standing on her dock behind this beautiful, gorgeous pond. We have a floating duck house. There's an orchard on the other side, patios all around. You are going to love this house when you get here for the tour. So Heather, tell us, you've been here 3 years now?
I'm going on my 4th year, yes.
4th year. And when you moved here, you did stuff to the pond, right?
We added the dock and we added a new bridge down at the end there, and we have pond maintenance that comes and helps us maintain so we don't get a lot of algae and stuff, and we put more fish in the pond so that you can fish the pond.
Do you guys fish it?
I fish when I'm gardening. I'll stop, and that's like my little relaxation. I'll go out and get a worm and come back and fish for a little while to take a break.
And you have ducks. Do you have any geese? No.
No geese.
Okay, so just ducks. So you also have chickens here.
Yes.
Do they ever get out and get in the pond?
No, the chickens do not get in the pond. We rarely let them out of their cage because they will try to escape. And then we have to chase them.
Okay. And so in addition to the pond, I think one of the big features here is your orchard. And you've just started that last year?
Yes, last year I put in an orchard. I have several different berries and grapes and different fruits, all different fruits. I'm hoping that they get big enough where I can my own orchard.
Okay. So do you do like jams and jelly, or what kind of fruit trees are back there?
There is apple and pear and peach and plum. There's grapes, there's raspberries, there's blueberries. So I'm hoping to make jams and juices out of the grapes.
Okay, so she's in the city, but she's a full-fledged gardener. Like farmer at this point, right? You've got animals, you got an orchard, you got it all. Now, one of the things that is going to be striking when they first pull up to your house, you're the only woman I know that does this. There's going to be 3,000 inpatients in your front yard, and you just said they're getting delivered today.
Yes.
So tell us about the process of, do you pick the same color every year? Do you mix your colors? Do you put all these in the ground? How do you do this? That's a big project.
So I put them all in the ground myself. I have in years past. Now this year I might get a little help because of the garden tour here, but I do different colors every year. I've done mixed colors. The first year I moved into the home, I didn't plant anything because I wanted to see the lay of the land, where the sun was going to come and how I could do it. So now I understand that, and I plant across the front all my impatiens, and on the end where I get a lot of sun, I'm going to plant winged begonias this year because it gets too much sun for the impatiens and they don't look as well later in the year. And I just choose different colors. I love color, and I have fun doing it. It's my hobby. It's I like having my hands in the dirt.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that came across, when they emailed me the notes about Heather, it said prolific planter, and obviously the front yard. But then I'm looking from my view right now at your patio and your backyard. How many pots or plant? I mean, what do you know back here? Is it the same thing where it's 3,000? Like, what's going on back here?
Back here is different every year. I just go and buy pots, and a lot of times I'll buy mixed pots already at a garden center, but I separate them and put them in a bigger pot so it looks better.
Okay.
So they have room to grow. And then, I just do I see what I like, and I buy it. I don't know the names of stuff. I don't look at the cards to see where they'll grow well. I give them a shot, see what I can do. I'm not one of these gardeners that go, oh, this is the name and this is where you plant it. I do what I like.
Okay, I love that you just said that, though, because one of the other gardeners that we've interviewed has a spreadsheet and knows everything and does the timing. And so I think this is good because now people can see that anybody can garden. You just have to want to do it. You have to want to love to do it. So how long have you actually been gardening then? Like, did you just start when you got to this house, or do you have previous gardens?
No, in my previous house, I gardened as well. I did a lot there too. And as a matter of fact, my neighbor across the street did absolutely nothing. And he would always tell me to go, I love sitting on my porch looking at your garden. And I'm like, yeah, I'm thinking about planting your house because I'd like to sit on my porch and look at your garden.
Okay, you heard it here first. Move next to Heather and she'll plant your garden for you. No, just kidding, just kidding. No. Okay, well, so I just want to thank you for your time because I know you have 3,000 impatiens coming today that you need to get in the ground. And we were just here a couple of days ago for a little pre-walkthrough. And things are already like busting at the seams here. I can't imagine what this is going to look like when it's actually time for the garden tour. So please make sure you make it to Heather's house on June 21st and June 22nd for the garden tour. If you see Heather out and about, ask her some questions. She's very knowledgeable. She might be winging it, but she's learned a lot along the way. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing y'all.
Our next garden belongs to Dave and Kathy Barthole. They actually live here on Catalpa Ridge Lane, which used to be a farm, and it had a lovely drive full of Catalpa Ridge trees. However, Dave, being the tree addict that he is, has replaced tons of the catalpas with a unique variety of trees. Be sure to ask him about these trees when you're there. He can teach you more than a book. Now, Kathy loves her flowers, and you'll notice all of the flower pots are very unique and different, and their yard is a perfect mix of their individual passions, creating a beautiful space that they generously share with all of us. All right, our final stop today on the pre-tour is here at the Lebanon train station, right in the heart of downtown Lebanon. And I'm going to introduce you to Lisa Vaugh. She is a gardener on the tour, but instead of interviewing her at her home, you're going to find out why we're interviewing her here. So Lisa, can you introduce yourself?
Hi there, I'm Lisa Vaugh, and I've been a member of the Lebanon Garden Club, Town and Country Garden Club. I'm the president of that club, and my husband Mike and I have lived in Lebanon for many years. And yes, I am on the tour.
We actually took a peek at your house the other day. I don't even know if you know we were there. But you had a lot of work in the last year since I was there. So you guys, you're going to love to get to see Lisa's garden. There's so much going on. You're going to get to learn from Lisa also, because she is very much, would it be correct to say you're very much into native planting?
Yes, I am. In fact, I have a native pollinator garden that I can't wait to show everybody.
Yes. It's beautiful. But today the reason we're here to talk to Lisa is because this is where you're going to start off your garden tour at. This is, again, like I said, the Lebanon train station. And I'm going to have Lisa go over some information for you as far as like tour dates, how to get your tickets, when the times are, things like that.
Okay, so the Lebanon Garden Tour is June 21 and 22 this year. The big change this year is the hours. It's from 10 a.m. to 4 both days. So make a note of that. Also, you can purchase your tickets earlier at several local businesses, such as the Brick House on Broadway, the Ice Cream Parlor in town, and Travato and Gioia. That's a shop in town as well. You can also go to our Facebook page, the Lebanon Garden Tour, and on the Facebook page, and you can buy a voucher there. On the days of the tour, you'll need to come here at the station to trade in those vouchers for a ticket, a map, and a scavenger hunt card.
Okay, well, since you mentioned the scavenger hunt and you're holding that cute little gnome, can you explain to them what we do for the scavenger hunt?
Yes. So when you get your scavenger hunt card, you will when you go to your first garden, you're going to look for this little guy. And he's going to be sitting at a point of interest in that garden. You're going to write that down on that scavenger hunt card. And when you tour all the 6 gardens this year, the last garden, you turn that in. You will be entered into a prize to win a prize, and it's a plant that has over $100 of gift cards hanging on that plant. We're going to give away one each day.
That's a lot of freebies. I'm excited for that. Okay, so one of the questions we get a lot is about parking and about restrooms, because, you know, we're human and we need to know where to go. So can you cover that?
Yes. Well, there's a wonderful new public restroom on Mechanic Street. There's also plenty of restrooms in any of the restaurants that you choose to have lunch at or have a drink at in town. Also, off-street parking. At many of the gardens, there's off-street parking and on-street parking as well.
And I also know there are going to be signs up helping direct you to the houses. These are really big gardens this year, so I want to encourage you to wear your walking shoes. This is a rain or shine event, so you may need your raincoat or an umbrella, or you might need sunscreen. We never really know what's going to happen. Now, can I ask you just to share a little bit about what it is, like why are we at the train station? What does the Lebanon Council do with this building?
Well, this train station is our home. There are 2 garden clubs in town, Town and Country and the Lebanon Garden Club, and we both own this building. All of these efforts in fundraising help us maintain this building. such as the roof, the gutters, and the windows, much like your home.
Yes, and this is a really popular place. If you've ever been to Lebanon or you live in Lebanon, you've probably done a prom picture here, maybe a senior portrait here, or you've brought friends to visit it. So this really is the fundraising event you want to get behind. We also, by the time this airs, will have had our plant sale. That's also a fundraiser that we do for that event, correct?
That's
or
true.
for our event, I should say.
Yes, that's true. That's true. We have lots of plants. We had lots of plants and everything else. So yeah, that's a huge fundraiser. So is this tour. This tour is a big fundraiser for us as well.
Yeah. So if anyone's watching this and they're like, hey, a garden club, I didn't know there was a garden club, how could they get involved?
Well, we're a busy club. We're a busy bunch of folks, so we're always looking for some help. And if you'd like to come and talk about and learn about flowers, meet new friends and everything else, we'd love to have you as a member. You can go on our website, Lebanon Council of Garden Clubs, and sign up there, come to the show, and talk to some of the gardeners.
For sure. You guys, I cannot wait for you to go to the garden tour. Again, it's June 21st and 22nd this year. It's 10 to 4. If you are 12 or under, you get to get in free. So make sure you bring those kids along. This scavenger hunt is very much geared towards the kids to help them learn about different things with gardening. And then you get that free prize if you win. So it's totally worth it. So thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, Lisa, for your time. And we can't wait to see you at the garden tour.